Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for hopping on. Thank you for your patience today. I see the numbers climbing up and up and up and up. So we're just going to wait a couple of minutes just so everyone can get settled today. But super excited that we're all here today. Sorry to the ones who showed up first. You're going to hear me introduce myself a couple of times, but my name is Randall Chavez. I am admissions rep here at Azusa Pacific. Again, we're just going to wait another few minutes or so just to have more folks sign on, get settled in, heat up some popcorn if you want, grab some water, feel free to relax. We'll be talking about our lovely School of Nursing and hear from some awesome folks today. So again, we're just gonna wait a bit, but just a reminder for those of you hopping on right now, we will have a Q&A at the end of today's event. The first half, we'll hear more about the School of Nursing. The second half is going to be a Q&A. Super awesome opportunity to chat with faculty. I'm not sure if you are aware of how important that is for college, but to be able to ask faculty directly some of your questions, super amazing. So not too many chances you can do that. So any questions you have, there's going to be a little Q&A box down below. Feel free to ask questions. Myself, I'll be moderating today's Q&A at the second half. Lauren is here to answer any admissions related questions. If you do have any questions after today's event, we'll share some links of some places you can head to ask those questions. But I see the number climbing up a little bit more, so we'll wait just another moment before I introduce these lovely folks on screen here. Let me get my things together here. But thank you all again so much for hopping on to today's event. Staff and student. Awesome. We have a lovely staff and student here on campus, or on our sort of on campus virtually. It's the whole weird virtual thing, but we're just glad to be able to chat with you all today. Probably wait just a little bit more. But again, any questions you have, please feel free to send it down in the chat. We would love to sort of help you in this process. I know the application process can be tough, and especially if you're applying to nursing, we want to help you throughout that process. Let me go ahead and get started with today's event. I see the number climbing up a little bit more, but we'll go ahead and get started for time. Again, my name is Randall Chavez. I am admissions representative here at Azusa Pacific University. I'm joined by my lovely colleague, Lauren, who's going to be behind the scenes answering some of your admissions related questions. Even though today's School of Nursing, we want to ask more nursing related questions, but in case maybe there's some general stuff, Lauren's here to help in the background. And of course, I'm joined by two lovely School of Nursing staff and students. So Barbara, I'll hand the mic off to you first. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, maybe what your role is at APU, and then how long you've been here.
Very good. Hi, everyone. I am Barbara Wiltsey, and I am the program coordinator for the undergraduate nursing program. I've been at APU about 18 years now, so a while, and been in the School of Nursing that entire time of my career here. So we're excited that you guys are going to be looking into the School of Nursing at APU. It's an excellent program. I think it's second to none. And I know I'm probably biased a bit, but in my experience, our students have really done fantastic and gone on to get great jobs and fulfill their dreams. So look forward to sharing about it with you.
Thank you so much, Barbara. And then Callie, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, what year you are, and clarifying your major in case that's not clear today, but just give us a quick little introduction.
Hi guys, my name is Callie Burkhartzmeyer. I am a senior, but I'm in the 4.5-year fall program, so I'll be graduating next winter. And again, my major is nursing.
So awesome. Well, you're going to hear from these two folks more throughout today's event. So I'm already seeing a couple of questions. So awesome. Feel free to send them all in. We'll try to answer as much as we can in the hour we have today. But I'm going to hand the mic off to Barbara to speak a little bit about our School of Nursing.
Okay. Well, did you want to share that screen with us? There we go. Awesome. Thank you, Randall. So everyone, we are so happy to have you. This is a group of our graduates from a couple of semesters ago. And so this is an meeting to help you understand how the program is going to work, what our admissions process is going to be, and deadlines and so forth. I don't think I can, there we go. So the first thing I want to correct on this slide is that we actually just this last week updated or extended our early action deadline. We've always had the early action deadline be November 15th and the nursing application deadline, meaning that the early action deadline is still November 15th. So that's just a good thing for admissions. They want you to have your application in as early as possible. But the nursing deadline is now December 3rd. So we're giving you a couple of extra weeks to pull your information together. If any of you are waiting for updates in your grades or your, some of you may be taking SAT or ACT tests, and we'd love to see those scores, but as you know, they're not required, and that's okay. So just to let you know, though, that November 15th, while it's an early action deadline, the actual deadline for nursing applications will be December 3rd. The minimum GPA is a 3.5. I will say that the average is about a 4.0, and you do need to have a B or better in biology and chemistry from high school. Your AP biology or AP Chem can be a C. So that's just the grades that we're expecting. The math requirement, you'll need the 3 years of high school math at least. And we are looking at if you have calculus or pre-calculus, we'll be looking at those grades. If you have a stats course, we'll be looking at that grade. So one or the other is sufficient. And I know your admissions counselor can go into more detail about that. So next is our admission requirements. These are the APU requirements. As you can see, there's a general statement, personal statement of agreement, and character recommendation. For School of Nursing, there's not a separate application process, but there are more admission requirements. So the important thing is to apply as a nursing major. And once you do that, then that will link you into the actual requirements for nursing. That would be on the next slide, which is you'll be writing a professional goals essay. That is going to help us understand your professional goals for nursing, as well as your career expectations. You can include areas where you were inspired to be a nurse, just different things that opened up your eyes to why nursing would be a good fit for you. Maybe you're one of those people that loves sciences and also has such a heart for people, and that's such a great combination. Another will be asking for your resume, which you can upload your paid and volunteer work experience in a resume type of format. Your dates, places, assigned duties, and the type of work you did. This can be anything because, as you know, nursing, it involves a wide variety of skills, of different ways of caring for people, of serving others. And so whatever you have done in your high school time frame, whether it's with your community, your church, your neighborhood, whatever you've done, that would be great to hear about. Also, a nursing reference is going to be requested. This can be from an employer or supervisor, not necessarily someone from the healthcare field, because we understand that many of you are not able to get volunteer positions or paid positions in a healthcare facility. That can be a challenge. So, but others can really attest to how you would be as a nurse, or how they would see you as a nurse. So those are the 3 items that you'll be asked to submit. So some of you may realize that we do get a lot of applications. Not everybody is going to be able to begin the nursing program at APU right away. We do have what we call the direct entry program, meaning that when you apply, we will let you know whether or not you are going to be able to be considered for the nursing program. If you are not selected right away for the traditional undergraduate program, there's a lot of ways to become a nurse, and we don't want you to be discouraged. We have programs that will allow you to get a second bachelor's in nursing in just 18 months after getting a first bachelor's in another area. So maybe you have an interest in a couple of different areas that might work really well with nursing. And we mentioned social work, psychology, business. We also offer allied health, kinesiology, and so many others, where you can, if you decide to come to APU, you can take your science courses here and prepare for nursing. And then our entry-level master's program, or the ELM, that will allow you to finish up a Bachelor of Nursing degree in 18 months. And then you can continue on with your master's and do that while you're working as an RN. And then there's the RN to BSN program. We also have a 2-year BSN transfer opportunity. So there's a lot of different areas and ways that you can become a nurse if you truly feel called to that as a career. So next, I just want to highlight the awesome hospital and clinical facilities that we are contracted out with. Students will be assigned different hospitals or clinical care facilities every semester. I mentioned City of Hope here, CHLA, Huntington Memorial. Those are our local, well, when I say local, they're within about a half hour to an hour from here, from our Azusa campus. Others that most of you have heard of are Kaiser, Cedars-Sinai. If you're in the area, you may know about Arcadia Methodist, and gosh, there's so many others, Pomona Hospital, Queen of the Valley, Eminent Hospitals, that whole organization. And there's so many more, along with some mental health facilities and some restorative health rehab facilities. So we have a very excellent reputation amongst the hospitals in our area. And often our students, they're placed in these hospitals for their clinical rotation, and they'll meet other nurses where eventually they may apply for jobs at these facilities. So many of these hospitals will have Azusa Pacific alumni nurses there. So the way that our admission process works, I'll talk about Study Away, and then I'm going to just delve into a little bit about the admission process and what you can expect with that. We are hoping to resume our Study Away semester programs, hopefully by the fall of 2022. We're looking right now at some short-term possibilities in the spring, but we're hoping to get that going again in the fall. China and Norway are the areas of interest right now. Those are the semester Study Away programs. The beauty about these programs are that they don't interrupt, excuse my dog, they don't interrupt nursing. They are part of the program. So it's called International Health that semester. The experiences there with China, it's a huge 2,000 bed hospital, and students have learned so much there. And then in Norway, it's through a university hospital. So those are great opportunities. By the time you're in your junior semester, we are expecting those to be up and running there. And we're also expecting other countries to be within our semester Study Away program. We also have short-term programs, which is the next slide. Thailand, Panama, India, we've gone to. We are hoping to actually go to Panama in the spring with our director of our international programs, Dr. Koi Parada. And we work with an organization called Floating Doctors. These short-term programs are offered either during summer for like a 3 to 4 week period, or during the spring break for about a 10-day period. And they are actual Study Away classes. So you will get credit for those. And it's amazing how wonderful that looks on your resume when you are applying. Whether or not you do a semester or a short term, that can really be helpful on your resume. So I'm just going to cycle back with about the admission process real quick. When you apply, you are going to be giving all of your nursing information. So I mentioned there's not a separate application, but you'll be asked to give certain things that we are going to use for our review process. The admissions department is going to be the first view of that application. They will be making sure you have completed your high school biology and chemistry, that you have a B in both, and that your math requirement is met, along with other areas of the application of the transcript that we need to see. And then the other items that nursing is going to look at will be reviewed after the admissions department sends us your information. So you can be admitted into the university, and the university will send you a letter and let you know that you've been admitted. If they are sending your application to nursing for review, then they'll let you know that. And we will start our review process after that December 3rd deadline. So sometime in mid-December and January, we'll be doing our review. And then students will be notified by February 1st of their status in the nursing program. So keep in mind that even if you're accepted into APU as a student, that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be admitted into the nursing program. So you do need to understand that. We also have a cohort system. So what we're looking at is we are looking to accept about 100 students. It will be for both for the fall of 2022. And we are looking for students to fill cohorts that will actually begin in the spring and fall of 2023, meaning that you would come to APU in the fall of 2022. You would start your science courses, some general studies, and then those of you who are assigned the spring 2023 cohort, your program then would be 4 years altogether. Those of you assigned the fall 2023 cohort, your program would be 4.5 years. So that is how we select students. We can select about 50 for each of those two cohorts. It is a random selection. We need strong students in both cohorts. There's benefits to both. Those of you who are assigned the spring 2023 cohort, which, by the way, you'll know ahead of time which cohort your assignment will be, so you can understand when your graduation date will be and so forth. But those of you assigned that spring cohort, it'll be the 4 years. But those of you assigned the fall 2023, you'll have that extra semester, which can be a fantastic cushion in a sense, because it will give you time to get your sciences done and to really focus on your studies. That can be really a helpful thing for many, many students. So there's benefits to both. So that, I think, is my presentation. And so appreciate you all joining us. And I'm sure that you have a number of questions that I'd be delighted to answer, or any of us would be. And I think some of you probably would love to ask some questions to Callie, because she is a student that has had a wealth of experience already in her couple of years here. So not only about nursing, but also for APU in general.
Totally. Well, Barbara, thank you so much for all that helpful info for that presentation. Everyone keep sticking around. We're not done yet. We have our Q&A function still. So this is an amazing time where you can ask questions about the nursing process, what a school of nursing is like, what the nursing major is like. I know, Barbara, you listed tons of different options. Just wanted to, from the admissions part of me, clarify that part of the process, or not so much clarify, but just add on top. If any of you in the room are seniors and have not yet started an application with APU, definitely highly recommend doing that as soon as possible. apu.edu/apply. Super quick and easy to do. Filling out your basic information and then scrolling down to the majors where you select nursing, because like Barbara said, that opens up the nursing portion of that application. It's not a separate application. There's extra items, but it's all within the same application of apu.edu/apply. The other really big benefit to that is that once we know that you're interested in nursing, we'll send you more relevant nursing info. So like Barbara said, we've moved our deadline from November 15th to December 3rd. Only our nursing students have already gone through the process or started an application know about that because we know that they're interested in nursing. So news like that is going to be really important, but we're not going to know who to send it to if you haven't notified us that you're planning on applying to nursing. Just to highlight that our early action deadline is not binding in any way. We hope that if you do get accepted into the School of Nursing that you'll come to APU, but if you are applying to like early decision schools, other schools, our application isn't going to bind you. So definitely we want to get you on the right news, right information as soon as possible. And we'll send that all in the chat later at today's event, some links you can look at to contact Barbara, start the application and those items. But I'm seeing more than a couple questions here. So again, we have Barbara here, who's a staff member from the School of Nursing, and then we have Callie, who is a current student. So please feel free to ask away. I'll try and group together similar questions, but just give me one moment to sort of get my bearings together here. I see a question about some requirements, which Barbara covered in the presentation today. Barbara, do you mind summarizing quickly those requirements again, what students should expect applying at APU, and maybe what your advice might be if the student's not sure if they meet the requirements?
Sure. Well, first of all, the biology and chemistry grades need to be a B or better in high school. We have to be able to see that well, by the first semester of their senior year, meaning that if they haven't gotten their grade yet, maybe they took a different type of science early on. But if you have taken your biology, hopefully you guys have all taken biology and chemistry, but if you're in, some of you might be in process with your chemistry or your biology. And so if that's the case, then we would need to see that first semester of your senior year transcript to make sure that your grades are a B or better. And again, the C or better if you have an AP Chem or Bio. As far as the math requirement, we've recently kind of updated that because we understand that many students have a different kind of a path on their math progression. So they haven't been necessarily able to get the calculus and the pre-calculus, but we do need to see an average of a B minus, I think, or a, oh gosh, I think, well, with the calculus, it needs to be a B or better. With the pre-calculus, it needs to be a B minus or better. With the stats, it needs to be a B or better. And then with if you don't have any of that math, then we need to see 3 years of math. And college prep math would suffice. So that's something though that we want to, I want you to maybe delve in a little bit deeper with your admissions counselor if there's some question about that. So does that help?
Yeah. And then just to clarify the math portion, do they need all those items or just like select items?
Just one of those items. Thank you for asking. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. So you don't need to take pre-calculus, calculus, stats, AP,
yeah.
all that in the same term. So hopefully that answers the questions about the requirements. You also mentioned AP courses. I have a question here asking if AP courses help with the nursing process. Is that viewed differently during the review, or is there any special benefits to AP courses?
AP tests for certain classes will certainly help you waive those classes. For instance, if you have an AP English and you get a test score of 3 or better, that will waive your Write 1, your first semester freshman English requirement. AP Psych will waive your general psychology requirement. other AP courses. I mean, there's probably about 10 of them: history, language and literature, foreign language, and others that will waive those courses. So it can lighten your load. AP Bio or AP Chem, we will not accept in lieu of of our nursing sciences. So that won't make a difference for us for nursing. And we don't necessarily view it as better or worse. Whatever, as long as the grades are there, the grades are what we'll be looking for. Our science department may enjoy seeing an AP Bio or an AP Chem, but that doesn't, that doesn't mean that they wouldn't have the same benefit of taking the anatomy or the chemistry that they're required to take. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I'm seeing a couple questions here. Thank you so much for all the questions here. Let me scroll up here. Okay.
Barbara, when you say a B or better in science classes in high school, does that count a B minus or?
Yeah, well, for AP Bio and AP Chem, thank you for clarifying that. But for AP Bio and AP Chem, we are allowing a C or better because they're viewed differently in our admissions department. But for a regular science or a regular chem in high school, it's a B or better, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you for that clarification. We're going to pivot slightly towards a common question I'm seeing. This is sort of a multi-part question. So Barbara, I'll start off with you first. What is a possibility of double majoring or minoring with a nursing major? Is it doable / encouraged, or should you set some time aside? What does that look like for students who want to double major or minor?
Double majoring is, I've maybe seen it done once in my tenure here, as far as a regular, or like I think somebody once doubled for nursing and foreign language or something like that years ago. I would not recommend it. However, there are students that want to include the honors college, which is considered a humanities major. So if you truly have an interest in that, that's something that is doable, and we work closely with the honors college department to make sure that those classes don't overlap. Minors are very doable. We encourage, whether it be a nutrition minor or a psychology minor, or, there's a number of them. Some are biblical studies, some are, I think somebody's doing a Spanish minor recently. So there's a number of them that are great. And especially if you are assigned that fall cohort, that can give you the extra time to pick up a minor. Are you minoring in anything, Callie? I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm minoring in psychology because I was placed in the fall cohort and came in with some credits from community college. So it just made sense and it's been fun. So
yeah. And it works with nursing too. I mean, some of those minors are fantastic for, really helping you with your future career. So.
Totally. Thank you so much. Callie, this next question is for you. And thanks for mentioning that you have a psychology minor. What does time management look like for a current nursing student? I know with, of course, a minor, there's a bit more of puzzle pieces moving around, but for like the average nursing student who may or may not have a minor, is it like highly stressful? Do you have free time? Is it like you only get 30 minutes of sleep every now and then to study? What's time management look like for a nursing student?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think every semester is a little bit different with the classes you're taking. I'm a senior now, so I've finished all of my science classes, but looking back to those semesters, those were semesters that I was studying a lot of the time. Whereas now I have a little bit more of free time, and it's just going to depend on what classes you're taking. But I think that the myth of being a nursing student, whether it's at APU or anywhere, that you can't have any extracurriculars or you'll have no free time, all you're going to be doing all the time is studying, is so not true. I'm an RA right now, meaning I live on campus and live in a space where sophomores are in apartment style housing, and so I get to be there for them and be a student leader in that. I'm a part of clubs. I have a life. But when you come to college, everyone has to learn, whether nursing major or not, what time management looks like for them. And it's going to look failing a lot of times and being like, oh, I need to be better at this. But you'll learn quickly in the first couple semesters what studying and making time for social life looks like for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then I see a couple of the same question right here. So just clarifying that the nursing decisions, or not the deadline, but the latest that they may hear from the school of nursing is February 1st, 2022, correct?
February 1st, 2022. That's when our anticipation is to get the letters directly into your mailbox by February 1st.
Awesome, awesome. So if you applied for Cougar Prime by October 15th, by early action on December 3rd, the latest you'll hear about the school of nursing decision is on February 1st. And then I'm also assuming that if you applied like the first day the application opened, that's not going to have any differentiation on your timeline of being notified if you're in the program, or any like higher priority if you applied earlier than others, correct? Okay,
Yes,
awesome.
right. Yeah, nobody, the timeline is, there's not a higher priority on that.
Got it. Not to say that anyone should apply December 2nd.
No,
Definitely
right. Let's not hold off.
definitely that recommendation letter as well as the essay will take some time. So again, I highly advise getting onto ap.edu/apply, at least putting in your basic info like name, school, email, phone number, and then selecting nursing major, just so you can get started on the process. Again, over the admissions office, we do a lot of notifications for recommendation letters. That is something we do wait on a lot. So getting started with that is the first biggest step. I'm seeing a couple of questions here about references. I know in the presentation, you mentioned a nursing reference, and they don't necessarily have to be a person from the medical field, correct?
Right.
Because it's a little bit difficult, especially nowadays with COVID and such.
Right.
Can you provide a bit more emphasis with maybe who they might get a recommendation from, or like the type of person? I'm seeing if someone could use a coach, maybe like a teacher. Could it be like a blood relative who's in the like healthcare industry or nursing, like field nursing?
Yeah, good question. We won't want to see anything from a relative, even if they're in the care nursing occupation, even if that's their career. We're happy to see references, like a coach would be great because you are working as a team player on the field. It's almost like a job, for high school. The other would be anyone who's been in a supervisory capacity over you, as maybe you went on a missions trip, or if you have been, well, certainly an employer. It really doesn't necessarily matter what kind of field that person employed. Like if you are a TA for one of your teachers, that could be a really good person. Or if that teacher oversaw a volunteer position at your school or in the community, that would be a really great position or person to ask. So does that cover everybody, I think?
Yeah, I'm seeing a couple
Yeah.
occupations here, like teacher,
Oh, yeah.
pastor,
Pastor would be
counselor,
great.
tons of
Right.
options here.
Primarily someone, though, who has actually seen you in action, a teacher that has just taught you, while they may know you in the classroom, they haven't necessarily seen you off, helping you to navigate certain things as a coworker, as a volunteer or something like that. So that may not be the best fit, but someone who has been in a supervisory capacity, which I think students can find that pretty well.
Totally. Yeah, thank you so much for that clarification. That helps a lot. This is also great for us admissions representatives, because there's so many, of course, over the past year, so many changing factors with everything, definitely wanting to help students as much as we can. So that's totally awesome. Just give me one moment, taking a look at the different questions right here. Callie, I want to actually direct this next question to you. Do you mind speaking about your, I guess, it's going to sound broader first, but just experience in the nursing major, like academically focused. I know our cohorts are are still pretty small. The average class size at APU just overall is 19 students. Can you speak into like your academic life, maybe some clinicals you've worked on? Can you provide an example of where you visited and just sort of show what the student perspective looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So something I've appreciated about APU is, yeah, the class sizes. Like, I just really feel like our professors know where each of us are at. And if you're kind of not understanding concepts or falling behind in a class, they're not just gonna like let you fall behind. They're gonna be like, hey, I've noticed that you're not kind of getting this. Like, how can I help you? Like, I've gone to people's office hours and just been like, I need help. And they're so willing. I love going to a Christian school because of what they teach with science and nursing, and that the nursing program focuses a lot on like cultural competency and how can we like love people well in the medical and healthcare field, in addition to like learning all the skills we're going to need to be nurses. But as for a clinical, you'll get into your if you're in spring, correct me if I'm wrong, Barbara, if you're admitted into the spring program, meaning you'll graduate in 4 years, you will start clinicals in your second semester of freshman year.
Right.
Whereas I was in fall cohort, so I started my clinical first semester of sophomore year. But ever since then, once you get in, you're going to be in the clinical setting, a different one every semester. So I was at Kaiser for a year. I worked at Cedars-Sinai. I was at Huntington. I was at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center for psych. So it's been really cool to go to all these different hospitals and see how things are different at other hospitals, but the same in some ways. Again, we are in cohorts, and each either by semester or sometimes there's 7 or 8 week rotations. So there's a couple of semesters that you're doing oncology and restorative nursing in 15 weeks. So it's like you're in a class for 7 weeks, then you're in another class for 7 weeks. So I really appreciated that like learning style of like, okay, we're going to focus these 7 weeks on learning pediatric nursing, and we're studying like kids, we're studying pediatrics, and then we're also in the hospital at that exact same time. So you're learning lecture and then you're seeing it in the hospital. So I think that a lot of people learn pretty well that way. But I think APU, something that we have to offer is just that clinical placement. We do have really good relationships with hospitals, and get in really early and get that experience.
Yes.
So that was a big part of my decision of coming to APU, because I'm from Portland. So I said, I will come to school here.
Come out of the rain.
Yeah.
No,
So
that's really a good point, because the experience, it's like having an internship every semester or even a couple. So
yeah. And then Barbara, you spoke a little bit about like just building relationships with the hospitals and healthcare system. I mean, in reality, hopefully no one will be having trouble getting a job as a nurse right now, but like there's hospitals that I can see myself working at because I've been in clinical there, and then you're also building relationship with your clinical instructor who's in the healthcare field, and so they know you and are able to kind of help you with that as well. But yeah, I think small cohorts like that where you're able to get the attention you need is something that I've appreciated.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that sounds so awesome. It's always interesting hearing a different perspective from a different major. I graduated a film major, so this is all totally out of my realm of expertise, but it's just so awesome just hearing about the partnerships with some amazing hospitals. I'm not sure if anyone knows that list of hospitals, but I see them on the news. Some of them are ranked as some of the top in the nation, which is so impressive. And just the opportunity that our students get to work with those hospitals as 4-year students is totally amazing. And then I'm not sure if you might have mentioned this, but can you clarify when you started clinicals? Is this something you have to wait till junior year? Can you start on this freshman year? When does one start working with clinicals?
Do you want me to answer? So literally the very first semester of nursing. Now with COVID, that very first semester was a little bit different. The last 2 semesters, the students had to be more in-house in our skills lab. But as a rule, and we actually were able to do that this semester, some students that started the fall 21 cohort, meaning that they have been at APU for 2 semesters, getting their sciences and their general studies done, and then they started the actual nursing program this fall. They have been doing skills groups in-house. We have a very nice skills lab that is pretty up to date, and simulation opportunities. And so they've been studying in there, and they some are now at Cedars-Sinai doing clinical rotation. Others were at Eminent at Foothill Presbyterian, I believe. So they are doing clinical rotation there. And so that's their very first semester of nursing. You know, they've been here for a year. Students in the spring of 22, we're anticipating that they will be in their skills groups for about 7 weeks at their skills lab area. And I think they may continue throughout the semester because we're changing that a little bit. But they're expected to start their hospital rotation by week 8. And by that time, they'll be deemed proficient. And of course, Callie was deemed proficient by that time. And they're in the hospital. So it's a quick start. And the great thing about that is that with a direct entry program like ours, sometimes we do get students that, gosh, I'm not really sure if I want to be a nurse. And so rather than waiting for the 2 years it takes in other programs to take some general studies and some sciences, and then they apply for the program, and maybe they'll get in, maybe they won't. But sometimes you decide, gosh, maybe I don't want to do nursing. I've had some students figure that out within a semester, or by the second semester, and they can change their major rather easily to something else. So anyway, all that to say is that direct entry opportunity is a very good situation. The next semesters after that first semester, you also begin right away in the hospital. You have maybe an orientation for a full day orientation, and then you jump right in, and you're actually in your assigned hospital typically for that whole semester, you know. So it is a really good program.
So awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. That sounds so scary, but also exciting just to jump
It's
right into
exciting.
that.
It is exciting for them.
So cool. So cool. And then I am seeing a couple of questions regarding like transfer credits. I know you mentioned I think the RN to BSN program. I know there's a lot of different nursing programs at APU. Just for clarification, you work with nursing major students, right? So incoming students from high school?
Directly from high school. That's what the traditional undergraduate program at the Azusa campus is all about. The other opportunities that we have that are great, but they are housed on our Monrovia site, at our Inland Empire site, at our High Desert site in Victorville, and our San Diego site. So we have those options. And that sometimes students, one of them, the entry-level master's, was really designed for students that wanted a second career in nursing. And so that kind of was launched in response to that kind of a request years ago. And now we're seeing that students there's so many students that really want to be nursing majors, but for whatever reason, they're not able to get into our traditional program. And then that is a program that they seek out at a later date. The High Desert program, we have a 2+2 program. Well, we call it 2+2. It's our BSN transfer program. And that is where you just start working your way toward nursing by getting your sciences, general studies courses. You still need to maintain that 3.0 overall GPA and about a 3.0 science GPA. And the BSN transfer program is a 2-year program, which is year round. So summers are considered semesters as well. And you get your Bachelor of Science in Nursing in 2 years, but you're going through basically the same courses that the traditional undergraduates go through. So that can be a really good option, and possibly even more cost effective, depending on how much background you have. If you have an awful lot of schooling done, that could be a good option for students.
Totally. Yeah. Thank you so much for just sharing all that. I know that's a ton of different information for everyone viewing today.
Yeah.
It is on the website. Today, the focus is for high school students, graduating high schools, coming directly into APU for the nursing major. If you have questions about transferring, about this alternate programs like the ELM program Barbara was mentioning, you can email admissions@apu.edu and we'll get you to the right place. So if that means getting you towards the ELM program, we'll direct you towards a grad and professional center. If that's talking about that 2+2 program with one of our regional campuses, we'll direct you to the right place. Today's focus is mainly for high school students coming right into the nursing major. Those alternate programs, please email admissions@apu.edu and we'll get you to the right folks. Let me get this right over here. Let's see a couple more awesome questions, and thank you all everyone for sticking around and answering or asking such awesome questions. We have about 12-13 minutes left, so we'll try and answer as much as we can here. See a couple other transfer ones. Okay, I see one about one of the nursing item, the turn-in items about professional goals. What does that look like for a nursing student? Is there any specific goals they're looking for? Is it more of like a passion essay? What does it look like? And then for all these, oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
For all these items, is there certain like, do you want MLA times New Roman to like double space format, or is it pretty
like a
open?
Yeah, no, the format isn't important necessarily. I mean, it should be legible. It should be, good, well written. Like you wouldn't submit anything in an application that wasn't well written. I'm sure it's perfectly fine to have somebody go over that and make sure that you have your wording good, reasonable, and all that, and punctuation and so forth. But the question is, and there should be a prompt that asks you to present your professional goals as a nurse and how you see nursing as a career, something to that effect. So we'd love to see maybe an inspiration point if many students, sometimes they've had health issues themselves and they've been around a lot of doctors or nurses, or maybe there was one circumstance that you were in a hospital and you experienced a fantastic nurse that just inspired you, or maybe the opposite. Maybe you had a horrible experience. Some people just should not have been a nurse. So you might have said, I could do so much better than that. And I would love to be that special person to a patient. And so those kinds of things can be written about. You can talk about if maybe you've always wanted to do pediatrics, or we've had some students that have gone into nursing because maybe a family member was a missionary nurse or something like that. Callie, do you have a story you want to share? Or I don't recall your goals or whatever, but did you have a particular?
Yeah, I'm trying to think about what I wrote for the essay. I feel like I my grandpa was in the hospital for some time and sick, and so I spent time in the hospital as well. And I just remember like he did have good nurses there.
Yeah.
Seeing them care for him and just thinking that like how cool of a career this would be to get to care for someone in such a vulnerable time, where a lot of people aren't having fun in the hospital. I mean, good things happen in the hospital, but it's not fun to be sick and unwell. And so I think thinking about like how you see nurses and if you had any personal experience, it shouldn't be like, I'd say like stick with like your first couple of ideas of like, why do you want to be a nurse? It's not a super hard essay. It should be like, you should know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it should be. Have you also had opportunity to be with families and help families through the difficult time when their loved one is in a hospital or in a healthcare situation?
Yeah, absolutely. As a student nurse, a little bit less this last year, as a lot of visitors weren't allowed in the hospitals due to COVID, but it has been cool to be able to support families while they're going through that with their loved one and offer them prayer if that's something that they're interested in. So yeah, that is something.
That's great. So I hope that helps. One thing that you don't want to do it for the money. I mean, that's not necessarily a great reason, even though it does provide a good living. There's nothing wrong with that, but that shouldn't be a student's, true goal. The other thing is it's great to want to help people, and that is a great reason. But at the same time, it should, the helping people can be done in so many different arenas. So just to kind of give yourself even some time to reflect about what your reasons are for being a nurse. We always encourage students, if at all possible, or applicants, to possibly shadow a nurse, or to see if there's somebody that you know, or a hospital or a local healthcare facility that might allow you to volunteer. I know with COVID and even with age, so many times students are unable to get something like that because they're still 17, or they haven't had a certain level of experience or whatever. But if you can seek out even a caregiving facility, or to volunteer at a nursing home or something like that, not only would you be well received, I think, but I think that you'd be greatly blessed, and it would help you to cement your reasons for wanting to be a nurse.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. That's a very common question I get with some of my students. So definitely that will clarify a lot of, hopefully clarify a lot of help with the folks in the screen here. Thank you all so much for hanging around. We got a couple more minutes. We'll try and follow up if we're not able to answer your question today. I know we have more than a couple left. But before we finish off, Barbara, if anyone has any nursing major, so again, that is high school students coming directly into college with no, like, they didn't attend a community college after high school, who should they contact? Should they contact School of Nursing? Can they contact you? What's a good...
If they have questions, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
For nursing, it would be me.
Nursing.
So
Okay,
the
awesome.
email at the end of should I just put my email in a
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind
everyone thing
here.
Panelists and attendees. Is that where I
Yes.
can put it? Okay.
Yeah, so Barbara will put down her email down there. Again, that's nursing major related questions. In a moment, we'll send our info. So if you have APU, admissions, general questions, we'll send our links so you can send those our way too. Let me see here, right here. Okay, awesome. See a lot of, I'm trying to group questions as much as I can in the last few moments here. Try and ask some pretty quick ones here. Did that one. Okay, awesome. Okay. What does, I guess, just in a summary for you, Callie, from a student, what does the average day look like? Do you find yourself only in clinicals, or is there a healthy mix between going to a clinical and then studying? What does the average day for nursing major look like?
Yeah, so you typically have clinical for like 10 to 12 hours a week, whether that be for 6 hours on Tuesday and 6 hours on Thursday, or a full 12-hour shift, which is good experience because that's what a lot of nurses are working these days. So it's good to get used to being on your feet for that long and waking up early and going into the hospital when it's dark and coming out when it's dark. So that's once a week. And then you're obviously going to your classes, your labs, if you're in your sciences, and then a good amount of time outside of class studying, whether whatever that looks like for you, if that's with friends and interactive, if it's going to the library, if it's being at home. But I also work, so I work about 15 hours outside of nursing, and a lot of people work more hours than that. So it's definitely possible to have a job in nursing school. It looks different for everyone. Maybe if you're taking a really hard science class one semester, you don't kind of work, but I just wanted to let you know that that is an option that many people do work while they go to nursing school. So I'd say an average day is, whether you have clinical or not, is going to class, doing homework. Yeah,
Thank you so much. I saw one question here, I just lost it. Again, if you have questions that we weren't able to answer, especially if you noted anonymous for the question, we won't be able to follow up with those because we don't know who to follow up with. Email admissions@ap.edu, and we can definitely send your questions to the right folks. We'll help you figure that out. I saw one question here that I really wanted to ask. Okay, AP courses again, or I guess just expanding outside of AP courses, what's the decision making behind the cohorts? Is there like a method to the madness? Is it one is more, I know you said there's benefits of both, but is there a certain reason why someone might be put into one cohort or the other because of classes or any other reason?
No, not really. If no, it's really a more of a random selection. The you know Mainly because we need really good students in both, and we get excellent students, as you know. So that's why our criteria is so high for the program. But it's really mainly a random selection. So we just get so many applicants, and so the idea is to have a good balance in both, a balance of students. So
And I want to add onto that quick, Barbara, is
yeah.
when I was admitted to the fall program, which is 4.5, I remember being so sad and being like, "Oh, I don't want to be there for another semester," but here I am about to graduate in a year or so. And I was able to pick up a minor, which was like so beneficial because that's going to help me. I was able to take classes at a slower pace, able to work through college, and it's not the worst thing to stay another semester at all. All my friends right now are freaking out about graduating, and I next semester. So yeah, it's okay either way.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Callie. Appreciate that.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you both so much for your time today. And of course, everyone in the audience, thank you for your time, for sticking around.
Yeah.
Again, any follow-up questions, we'll try and follow up with the questions left in the chat here, but definitely email admissions@apu.edu so we can help you get started on your application for one, and two, to help get your questions to the right places, especially if you're asking questions about the transfer programs, if you have general APU questions. In the chat there, you're going to see an application link, apu.edu. Has some extra words there, but you can just do apu.edu/apply. You can visit campus. We have tons of events happening. We actually have another APU preview happening this Friday where you can take a look at the campus, meet other students that are applying, which is going to be super fun. And of course, we have our own info in there. You can either call or email us at admissions@apu.edu or ugadmissions@apu.edu. Don't worry about which one you have to send it to. They'll all go to the right place. But thank you all so much for sticking around. Barbara, do you have any, or Callie as well, any last words for the students viewing today, or any last remarks?
Not necessarily, except thank you so much, everybody, for being here. And Randall, you did great with your questions and your moderating. So appreciate you, Callie, so much for being here, because that just lends such a great perspective to our program. So thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And
I would just
Callie.
say to those of you that aren't sure about applying or what that looks like, just apply and see where it takes you. I'm definitely proud to be at this nursing program, excited about it. I wouldn't be here telling you guys if I weren't. So yeah, just apply and see where that gets you. And Barbara is great. So email her if you have any more questions.
Oh, thank you. But
yeah.
anyway, great. Thank you so
Awesome.
much. Yeah.
Thank you everyone so
Okay.
much. We'll see you
Thank
hopefully
you.
sometime later. Thank you all for
Okay.
joining.
Take care.